Welcome to Violin Adventures number 245. This week we work on a violin from around 1910. Hope you enjoy. Okay, I have here a violin from around 1910, 1900. You can see how it's shaded on the back just to look old at that time. It has these horrible pegs, but at the time they were praised as a great new idea. But they not only look terrible, but they're really bad for the instrument. They add weight, and of course you had to add little screws into the scroll to make them. Then I have here a catalog of just pages and pages of instruments that are like this instrument that you could order in from the mail. All these places like Lion & Healy, Montgomery Ward, Sears catalogs would offer violins. You could get a nice violin with a bow. And the great thing was these instruments were good instruments. They were made, usually shipped over from Germany. So some of them had really good wood. And that's why I like this violin. You could see how beautiful the grain is on the top of this violin. It's got nice grain on the back, and usually these violins can really produce a nice sound. Now the problem we're looking at today is, first off, this was set up probably for somebody left-handed, and they thought that they could play the instrument on the other side. That just does not work. That just doesn't work for the instrument either, because you've got your bass bar on this side. So when you switch the strings over, the sound isn't going to be that great. Another problem is there's no problem with a left-handed person learning to play the violin, because your left hand is doing all the fingering. So we're going to change this back and get the strings on correctly. We're going to give it a new bridge. We're going to take off these and put proper pegs on, and we'll open it up. Now the good thing is, on the back it's stamped Stradivari, and of course Stradivari would have never stamped his instruments. And on the inside the label says a copy of Stradivari. That's the truth. This is a copy, and so many instruments were copied. Stradivari, he was the greatest maker, so everyone copied them. But it's not a Stradivari, okay? We're going to get going on this instrument. I'm going to take it down, open it up. Okay, you can see how beat up this is when they added these, and here we've got such a big hole. So in order to make these round again, I'm going to have to refill these holes and re-drill. But right now we'll get this open again. Okay, I've been working on this. Are you ready to see inside? Let's take the top off. Ooh, look at that. Well, I am very glad we decided to open this up because guess what we have? We have a top that is not finished. The bass bar is not real. And look at the inside of this. I'll bring you up close. So just look at how black the inside of this violin is. And then here you see the label. It's good that it says it's a copy and made in Germany because of course Stradivari was from Italy. And now you can see on the top we have a fake bass bar. It's even loose down here that you would think would cause some rattling when you played it. It's carved out of the top, so it's too small. So I'm so glad we opened this up. We've got good hope. You can see how it's quickly carved. So we have some good work we can do on this violin. I am so glad we opened up this violin. By looking at it, I didn't think that this would be one that wasn't finished on the inside. You can see how it was quickly carved out, but this has great tone. So it has good possibilities. But before we work on the top, I'm going to work on cleaning this up and securing some of the rib parts that are loose. All right, we've got the old bass bar out. Now let's see how thick the plates are. Okay, the area where the bass bar was is around 5 and 6 millimeters thick. The rest of it is around 3 and 4. So on these older violins, I don't go strictly by graduation, I go by tone. So we're gonna take this down and see if we can get we're gonna work on getting some beautiful melody out of this violin. Okay, I've got the inside here of the violin we're working on, and remember how black it was. Well, I took it to the faucet and I washed it out. There's brush marks, so they kind of painted it with a chalky black just to make it look older. But at least it's clean. The next thing we'll work on is putting corner blocks in the corners and then plugging up these holes. I wanted to show you how big I had to make this one hole because it was so out of shape that I opened it up this much just to get it round again. So now we're going to fill all these holes. This one we'll have to use the supplies for a cello on this one. Okay, it's time for a story. got our repair drawing, and so it's time to sit down and let's have a story. So I'm reading in Famous Violinists, and this is written by Henry Leahy, copywritten in 1899. And I'm not reading straight through here. I'm just looking for interesting anecdotes. So I'm going to look here on page 65. And this is about Viotti, and it happened in 1822. While traveling in Switzerland and enjoying the beauties of the scenery, Viotti heard for the first time the plaintive notes given forth by a mountain horn. And this melody so impressed him that he learned it and frequently played it on his violin. The subject was referred to by him with great enthusiasm in his letters to his friends. There are numerous anecdotes about Viotti in reference to his ready repartee and to his generous nature. One of the most interesting is that concerning a tin violin. He had been strolling one evening in Paris with a friend when his attention was arrested by some harsh, discordant sounds which, on investigation, proved to be the tones of a tin fiddle, played by a blind and aged street musician. Viotti offered the man 20 francs for the curious instrument, which had been made by the old man's nephew, who was a tinker. Viotti took the instrument and played upon it, producing some most remarkable effects. The performance drew a small crowd, and his friend, with true instinct, took the old man's hat and, passing it around, collected a respectable sum, which was handed to the aged beggar. When Viotti got out his purse, okay, I just had an interruption of a phone call from someone from Virginia, and that was great. Now, back to our story. When Viotti got out his purse to give the 20 francs, the old man thought better of his bargain, for, said he, "I did not know the violin was so good. I ought to have at least double the amount for it." Viotti, pleased with the implied compliment, did not hesitate to give the 40 francs and then walked off with his newly acquired curiosity. The nephew, however, who now arrived to take the old man home, on hearing the story, ran after Viotti and offered to supply him with as many as he would like for 6 francs apiece. Violin literature owes much to Viotti, for his compositions are numerous and contain beauties that have never been surpassed. His advice was sought by many young musicians, and among these was Rossini, who was destined to become great. So until next time, the Hebrew Minute, Yishmeru, Hukaiv, Vatorativ, Yitzru, Hallelujah. That they might guard or keep his statutes, but this is also his prescriptions, and his laws, which means Torah, means instruction, that they might keep his prescriptions and guard, this is and guard or preserve his laws or instructions. Praise the Lord. If you know where this is found, please leave it in the comments below. Here we are, bright, beautiful day. Look at that blue sky. And the temperature is in the 70s, so it's just very nice. Let's go inside and see what's going on. Here we are in the shop. Here's our violin from 1910 or thereabouts. We've got it closed up. Next week we'll work on the peg box. Here's our new violin. And it's drying very nicely, but it's just not dry enough to set it up yet. So we'll let this dry a little bit longer. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your great comments. Thank you for your thumbs up. And until next time, bye.